Cost of buying a home in Wichita. What is it? Find out our answer on today's video. First of all, get this out of the way. If you like this content, please make sure you like, comment, subscribe, share, all that fun stuff. And stick around at the end. I got a bonus secret cost you may not take into account for the cost of buying a home. But I got 4 of them to go over. So by no means everything, but this is a good 4 to give you an idea, and one bonus at the end for everything. So first one is going to be your down payment. So, and I'm going to use an average size of house in Wichita, Kansas, which is about $150,000. I think our average price point is like $147,000. But I'm going to use $150,000 as an example of a house that you can get, like a 3-bed, 2-bath, 1 to 2 car garage, for about $150,000, probably about, I don't know, 1,300 square feet. Just give you averages, give you an idea of the cost of buying a home. So with that house, if you do an FHA loan, you'll need to account for about 3.5% down, which is $5,250. Or if you do a conventional loan, the lowest you can go is 3% down, which is about $4,500. So either way, you're looking at about $4 to $6 grand that you need to save for a down payment. Now, there are some 0% down products, but they're going to end up costing you more in the long run, whether they're USDA, VA, or some grants. Financially, long-term, it's not as good of a situation as if you actually put money down, but that's a deeper conversation we can have later. But that gives you an idea of your initial down payment of what you want to expect for the cost of buying a home. $4 to $6 grand for a down payment. Number 2, the thing you need to account for is what we call closing costs. Now, closing costs is a shorter word for closing costs, prepaids, impounds, reserves, transaction fees, et cetera, et cetera. But basically, it's what cash do you need to bring to the table in order to originate the loan for the deal to go through. And these closing costs can be negotiated into the terms of the sale. If like you're a first-time home buyer and you're like, you know what, I got the cash for the down payment, but I don't have the cash for my closing costs, we can ask the seller to pay for the closing costs. We can't ask for the down payment for the seller to pay for the down payment. Now, the closing costs, if we go ask for them to pay $4 grand of closing costs, that's not free money. Like, so if we say we'll give you $150,000 for the house, but we want you to pay $4 grand in closing costs, that means we're really offering them $146,000 net offer is what it is. So just make sure you're taking that into account, is that if you do ask the seller to pay for closing costs, that's coming out of their pocket. That's coming out of net proceeds. There's no such thing as free money, or it just doesn't exist. Like, you got to look at it that way. So closing costs on a $150,000 house are going to be anywhere from $3,500 to $4,500, depending on your lender's origination fee and a few other factors that go in your thing. But that's a pretty fair going rate for that. I've seen some other lenders want to charge way more than that, and honestly, they're just trying to make a lot of money on you. That's why you need a good agent to help you realize those things. Number 3 that you need to account for the cost of buying a home is your earnest money, inspection, and appraisal. So depending on the size of the house, we're using our $150,000 house as an example. Your earnest money is going to be about 1% of the home. And then your inspection is going to be, like, for the person that we use, he's about $225 to $300, depending on the size of the home. And then the appraisal for the lender that we use is about $450. But you should really plan for about $2,000 in cash from the earnest money that you put down, which goes towards your down payment. So let's say you put $1,000 down, but you need $5 grand for your down payment. You put $1,000 down and execute a contract, but then you'll need to bring $4,000 for your down payment to make for a total of $5,000. If that makes sense. So obviously, all these things we can consult on in deeper further questions, but hopefully this just clarifies a lot of the things to get out of the way initially. So earnest money, inspections, and appraisals is about $2 grand that you need to account for in cash to have to plan to spend to outlay for all this. Number 4 that you have is realtor fees. And typically, like, as your buyer in a house, we get paid 3% at closing, depending on what the seller has prearranged, which 99% of the time, the seller has already prearranged a fee for us to be paid as buyer's agents to bring them a buyer to work with them as your buyer's agent to truly represent you as a purchase agent. And we only get paid that if it closes. We only charge that fee if it closes. Things go to successful closing. You don't end up buying a house, your deal doesn't go through. We don't come back and try to charge you all these fees and whatnot. We just ask for your professional engagement that you sign a buyer's agency with us, which may or may not always happen way ahead of time. But in order to submit an offer, we do have to have a professional buyer's agency relationship set up. Although, like me personally, I don't feel like locking you into a contract or having you feel bound by it. I want it to be a voluntary situation where you want to use me and you see the value of my services with everything we're doing. So you have those realtor fees to take into account. So all in all, when you look at like the total cost of what I tell people to prepare for, cash wise, to save up for, you're probably going to need at a minimum about 4 to 6 grand for your down payment and like your earnest money inspection, appraisal, all that kind of thing. You have your closing costs in this competitive environment, even better. So that'd be closer to like 10 grand. If you want to be really safe, you could go 12 to 15 grand. But this is what I tell people all the time, that real estate is a good place to put your cash. It's kind of like your own personal savings account, because houses appreciate about 5 to 8% per year. And so that's what your cash is making. So that 12 to 15 grand that you just put into your house is now earning 5 to 8% in appreciation. Although recently we've seen it be a lot more, but I'm always a long-term thinker, is what I want you guys to think on. So that 12 grand, saying on the high side, that you put into your house is going to make 5 to 8% per year, just by you living in it, making your payment, taking care of it, that kind of thing. Now, if you have a pandemic and things go crazy, it's actually going to be way more than that, which is what we've seen. But I'd rather tell you conservatively on everything. And number 5, I guess it's number 5, but it's the secret cost I was going to tell you about. The secret cost of buying a home is, honestly, it's going to take time, energy, and pain. Meaning it's going to take you some time to research all this stuff, to get familiar with the market, talk to an agent, find the right house. That's going to take mental and emotional energy to look at all these houses, decide on all these houses. The emotional side of this, it's a big transaction that goes on, and there can be a lot of pain that goes with that. And you have the pain of processing all these details and information and making decisions, but you also have the pain of, not getting a house, not moving your life forward, not being able to move ahead financially, missing out on all those awesome things that come with the house that aren't just financial, like all the memories that are made with the dog in the backyard and the fence and the kids and your significant other and all those things that go with what you'd be missing out. So I know some of these things might be painful to go through, but it's worth it for what's on the other side of everything. And I think sometimes people don't take into account that cost of buying a house, is the time, energy, and pain that it'll take to go through a lot of this process to end up get on the other side to be a lot better in home ownership. So hopefully that's giving you an idea of the cost of buying a home. Appreciate you watching this. If you watched it all the way through, if you did like this content, please do me a huge favor. Like, comment, subscribe, share it, and we'll go from there. Check out a bunch of my other videos I have on this YouTube channel and get to know more about Wichita, Kansas real estate. Thanks, guys. See you later.